Hello and welcome to BPA training. In this training video, we're going to provide you an overview of the dashboard in iPatient Care and eChiro EHR. To get to the dashboard, once we're in the program, we move our mouse to the left-hand side and we'll see that this window opens up and we can select the dashboard. Now we're going to notice that the dashboard opens as a separate window. That can be very handy. Perhaps we have a second monitor we have connected to our computer. We could drag this over, and that way we could have access both to the main interface and the dashboard even at the same time. For right now though, I'm going to maximize this to give us the full real estate here. Once we're in the dashboard, we're going to find we have two main views that we can be in, and depending on our role in the office, we may spend more time in one view or the other. By default, as you can see here, we're opened up to the what we could call a personal dashboard view. This might be a view that especially providers tend to use. So in this view on the left hand side, in a more condensed area, we have our schedule for the day, the patients and appointments that are coming in. And you notice it organizes it into these 4 green bars depending on where the patient is in their appointment. So if they're just scheduled, they'll show up in this green bar, and you'll notice it lists a number of how many are scheduled for the day. But we could also see any that were actually in the office, any that have checked out or canceled, and those would appear under those green bars. We can simply expand or condense them. What's nice too is we look at the appointments on the left hand side, we get a lot of information. Of course, we have the name and a picture of the patient if that's been taken. We can see we have their age, their gender, the provider that's seeing them, and the reason for their visit. To the right of the patient appointment, we can also see the time they're scheduled, how long their appointment will be, and we have a quick shortcut using this blue open chart button to get to the patient's chart nice and easily. Now, something we want to mention right away that's very important is this orange bar at the top. And this is going to really help us to see which appointments we're able to view down here below. We could think of it as a filter. Right now we're showing, as it says here, for all providers for a specific location or practice and on a particular date. But we can change that by clicking on this filter button. Let's say perhaps we want to change the date. We could do that here. We could change which provider we're seeing. Maybe we just want a specific provider. And providers in this personal view may like to do this because then they'll only see patients that are under their care for that day. And you'll notice the filter up here will update as we change the conditions in the filter. So now instead of all providers, we're just showing patients for James Smith here on this particular date. Again, what else is nice about this window is the provider or whoever is using it has access to these various sections that are in green. They're expanded and easy to get to data that's in the system. Now these sections are configurable, and we can do that by going to the right hand side. We can click on this settings cog, and we can turn on or off different sections. You can see we only have about 5 listed right now. If there were ones perhaps we don't need to see or don't want, we could turn them off. And if we wanted to reorder them, we can just simply get to our mouse to the right spot where those 2 lines are, click and drag it to where we want that to show up. Once we save, we'll see our dashboard refresh, and one of those sections went away because we turned it off, and then the order got readjusted as well. So we can really configure that to our liking. The other thing that's available to us in the personal dashboard view is the inbox. So we have a link at the upper right. We can click to go to inbox. Of course, we can use this for any patients or other messages in the system. And there's a lot of things that will show up here. Many of them are available through the buttons up at the top, especially the visit notes. We could see many visit notes in here. And even in any of these buttons that we select for the information we're looking for, we have filters again, kind of like that orange button we just looked at. Maybe we want to drill down and only see for a specific patient or topic or subject or provider. or flags, similar thing, where we could use that filter. And then another button to the right, we could even sort the results as we would like to. Other things available in this window include opening notes, seeing co-sign notes, direct messages, things of that nature. Now, if we want to get out of this inbox area, we might be tempted to hit the X at the upper right to close it, but that will actually close our dashboard window as well. So to save us a couple clicks and keep our dashboard open, if that's what we want to do, we can use this back button at the bottom left. Well, so far we've focused on the personal dashboard view, but let's go to that second view that I mentioned. To get to that other view, we're going to go up to the orange bar and click on the two white arrows at the top. And you'll notice when I click on those two arrows, it actually collapses that personal dashboard sections and view. So we still have those as buttons available on the right-hand side, but it now expands what we could see only minimized previously on the left-hand side. So we can see now a full view of patient appointments and even their status through the office in a day. This might be a view that's more often used by front desk staff. One other thing to mention is we had that filter up above in the orange bar that's still available to us. Now, whereas with a personal view, maybe the provider only wanted to see what was for them that day, but it's possible front desk staff would use this filter and show all providers for a particular day so that they could see all appointments, or of course they could manipulate that as is needed. So again, in this view, we see these patient appointments. It's going to contain much of the information we would want to see at a glance: their name, age, gender, provider, reason for the visit, time and length of the visit as well. Now, for us to take an appointment out of this scheduled and move it into office or to checkout, we're going to show you that workflow now. And we would start by clicking on the patient's name or the patient's picture, and that's going to open up that appointment for us. Right at the top, what's nice and handy, we have access to that patient's contact information, whether their phone number or email, so we have that information readily available to us. And even at the top right, we have a button here if we wanted to see billing notes, that's readily accessible to us as well. Now, let's say this patient has arrived for the day, so part of that check-in status, we can check the checkbox here to arrived. And once they've filled out any needed paperwork or anything else, we can mark them as ready for visit as well. I'm just going to close out of here and hit done just to show you what that does to the appointment itself. You'll notice Linda Abbott has actually moved over from scheduled to in office. Something else we want to make mention of is that there are little color indicators that help us to see a little bit more information about an appointment. You'll see Linda Abbott is green at the far left, just to indicate she has arrived. But at the far left of these scheduled appointments, it just shows yellow. So yellow is scheduled, green means they have arrived or are in the office. And now if we had a canceled appointment, they would show up again under that canceled column and they would have a red indicator. So just some nice helpful ways to view that information at a glance. Now we can also see some additional information has been added to Linda Abbott's appointment that shows she's been checked in and where she's at in the waiting room. Now if we were to click on her again, we can keep that appointment moving. We've moved to this second bar now, the visit status bar. If there was a pre-exam, we could check that and send her to the pre-exam. In this case here, we're going to say she's in the exam at this point in time. And we can choose a provider from the list above and choose a room number that she is in and hit OK. So I'll hit done here just to show you what that's done. Now you'll notice it shows she is in room 1. All right, so I'll go back into her and we'll see that right from this window there's a way we can actually open up a visit note, an easy button to access that. But let's say the exam is completed. We can now say she's been signed out to desk by checking this checkbox here. And I'm going to show you what that does by closing out. You'll notice she has now moved from in-office to the checkout column. And if we clicked on her name again, we have a couple of things we can still do. We have some more information here. Balances and whatnot can be viewed. We have things we could print out. But we can also begin the checkout process. Maybe if it's lengthy, we might spend some time on that, or we could go right to checking her out, the final step there. So once we hit done, we'll notice that that is the completed process, and we'll see our checkout list fill up as the day progresses. Now, it's worth mentioning that you don't have to keep going in and out if a patient goes through multiple phases or things in rapid succession. For example, if I was to open up Martha Dayton here, we could say she's arrived and ready for visit in one fell swoop. Maybe if she was the first one available for the day, you could send her right back to the exam room. So you don't have to click out of this window and back and forth as frequently as I did, just to show you some of the steps. But we can go through that quite quickly. And then again, once the provider's done, we can sign them out and check them out quite easily as well in just a few clicks. Well, that provides a nice overview of the dashboard in eChiro EHR and iPatient Care. We again thank you for watching our training video today.